Hello and welcome to Politically Unhinged. As always, I am your host, Unhinged Tony, and it looks like we're having some fucking difficulties with Instagram once again. So what we're going to go ahead and we're going to be talking about is the Epstein Files. So what's going on here is that Trump has been flip-flopping ever since he's been elected, and one of his campaign promises, as the left likes to point out, is that he said that he was going to go ahead and release the Epstein Files. Now, when we're going ahead and we're talking about this, we have to look at this from a lens of someone that doesn't necessarily know what's going on. Now, when it comes to President Trump and the Epstein Files, he likes to go ahead and say some bullshit saying that, hey, if you actually voted for me, and you wanted the Epstein Files released, you're not a real Trumper, blah, blah, blah. This is just something that President Trump does, and quite frankly, be kind of an idiot when he says that. The thing is that when we're talking about the Epstein Files, we have to look at it as a lens through the American guys. Is going on like, you know what? What's going on here is something that's needed to be talked about. We have to understand what's going on is that we, quite frankly, can't stop this. I, for one, 100% believe that what's going on here is that if we go ahead and actually release things in full, it's going to topple the entire system where you're going to be seeing stock market crashes. You're going to see everything fall. Well, now this is just something that happens. But we can't go ahead and say that, well, Trump knew what he's doing. Trump is going ahead and saying shit. He just isn't. And he's going to say whatever he wants to that's going to rile up the left as much as possible. Now, the thing is, when it comes to Trump and everything here, is that he, quite frankly, could not give a shit even more so. And the thing is that we have to be looking through the Trump guys when it comes to this. The Trump guys is literally us going ahead and saying shit that we don't actually necessarily mean, saying that we're not actually going to do it and actually doing it. Now, what I am going to say is that a lot of this does come from what happened to Charlie Kirk. What happened to Charlie Kirk is a snowball effect, but I 100% do believe that this right here, though, is not one of the aftermaths of what happened to Charlie. This is just poor conservative governance, and quite frankly, it's complete, utter bullshit to go ahead and be against the American people. And, well, that's just something we need to talk about. How do we go ahead and unite this fractured caucus? Well, Trump's trying to go ahead and doing that by releasing the Epstein Files, even though he said, oh, there's nothing, and now he's saying, like, oh, well, now we got to release it. This dude, in all honesty, can't make up his fucking mind when it comes to it. I voted for President Trump. I'm going to criticize him. Just because I voted for him doesn't mean I can't criticize the man. I should be able to criticize whoever the fuck I want. And to any of you that say, like, well, you voted for the person, you can't do it, that's complete bullshit. I hope you know that. You should be able to criticize whoever the fuck you want to. It doesn't matter whether or not we're doing the same bullshit again. It's just one of those things. Now, when we're looking at the Epstein stuff, I want to be honest, there's some fantastic fucking memes out there where they're talking about Trump sucking Bill Clinton's dick. I'm going to be honest, I find them fucking hilarious. But the thing is that we already know to the extent that Trump was involved with Epstein. The files that we already have released to the public is the files that Trump is in. Now, one of the victims who can't no longer speak because they're dead said that Trump wasn't involved in this stuff any way. Now, am I going to go ahead and say that this is 100% true? No, I'm not. I live in a world of reality. I know people do bad things. I'm not going to go ahead and sit here saying that, hey, whatever Trump does, it's a good thing. That's a moronic take, in all honesty. If we're going to sit here and say that, then what's the fucking point of calling us conservatives? We need to be able to go ahead and question these people. You need to go ahead and question everyone, in all honesty. The thing that makes us great is that we question what's actually happening. But no one wants to believe that. No one wants us to go ahead and question all of these different aspects going on in American politics. Because if we're going ahead and questioning this stuff, they're going to say that we're wrong. We're not actual conservatives. Just because you voted for Trump and you actually did this doesn't mean anything. We have to understand what's actually happening and going on here is that, well, Trump did something, and quite frankly, it could shatter the entire American populace. The thing is that the Epstein Files is something that we've never seen before. That's not saying that it's just because it's classified. It's just that as the American populace, we're not ready to see what's going to happen here. We're going to see fallout from everywhere. You're going to see fallout from the economy. You're going to go ahead and see fallout from the American populace. You're going to see people get so fucking angry that they could get violent again. Because there's one thing that everyone can agree with, is that you don't mess with the fucking kids. And that pedophiles are fucking awful. The thing is that we need to realize that we need to be prepared for everything. Now let's go ahead and talk about these files. So Trump going ahead and flip-flopping every which way on the files. This isn't anything new. He did this while he was running. This is just something that happens with him. He goes ahead and he will promise the world to people. And we won't get it. It just happens that way. But we have to be ready to understand that. We have to be ready to just go ahead and say, you know what? We're not going to get everything that Trump campaigned for. We're not going to get everything that's just not going to happen. The sooner we realize that, the better. As the American people, I know that we say we've been lied to quite often, and that's true. The thing is that we gotta be ready. We can't just go ahead and say that, well, I need this stuff. They ran on it. It needs to be released. That can't be something that happens all the time. This is something that happens when, quite frankly, the American populace is fed up. And quite frankly, the American populace should be fed up right now. We've been asking for these files for over a decade now. And we're not getting the files. Why are we not getting the files? Because, well, the swamp, and that's who the blame is, in all honesty, is the swamp. Trump is taking too much leniency and talking to so many fucking people that are part of the fucking swamp. That is the reason why this stuff hasn't been released. The Epstein Files have not been released because of the swamp. Period. Trump has gone ahead and instilled people that he thinks he can trust, by the way. But he can't. Now, looking at the files that we already know about, we got to just look at it and call it a spade a spade. All right? The left would love there to be something on Trump, but there's not. Quite frankly, I think there's something about every single individual that's been in politics for the last 30, 40 years. And that's why the American populace is not ready for this. The American populace is not ready for any of this because they do not want to go ahead and have the hard discussions. They do not want to go ahead and say, like, hey, maybe our ruling class is fucking corrupt. Maybe they don't fucking care about us. We do not want to have that discussion. Instead, we want to go ahead and say, hey, our ruling class is fucking fantastic when it's not. Our ruling class is the reason why we're in this fucking predicament. Our ruling class is the reason why we can't have civilized fucking discussions, why we can't go ahead and all agree that the Epstein Files should be released. That's the thing. The thing is that the left didn't want to go ahead and have the Epstein Files released under Biden. These people that are calling it for it to be released now didn't call for it then. Why is that? Why is it that these people are now just calling for it, but now they don't really care? They didn't care under Biden. That's just a fact. I can tell you the reasoning right now is because they think that they have a winning battle here. Trump went ahead and did the most badass 180 ever. Because the thing is that when Trump said that he wanted to release the Epstein Files, the left said no. Now, Trump saying that he's going to release them, oh man, it's fucking with them even harder. It's fucking with the left so fucking hard that they are just memeing and saying that Trump sucked off Bill Clinton. Quite frankly, if Trump sucked off Bill Clinton, that would make him a gay president. You know how badly the left wanted a gay president. As a matter of fact, if Trump goes ahead and goes like, yeah, you know what? I did suck Bill Clinton off, and I enjoyed it. I think they would have a mental breakdown. Now, if there was a meme for every single time that Bill Clinton got head in the Oval Office, I'd have... Sorry, if I had a nickel for every time that Bill Clinton got in the Oval Office, I'd have more than 2 nickels, but I'm going to say that it's weird that I have 2 memes from it. So technically I got 2 nickels now. But the thing is that we need to go ahead and realize that this stuff is what it is. We can't go ahead and have the left try to control everything. Now, this is a viewpoint that we're all coming together on, but that's also because, well, you don't mess with the fucking children. You just don't. Unless you're the left and you go ahead and you mess with the children and say they're part of the LGBTQ or STU plus minus divided by side community, stop sign, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But that's just a thing that they do. And the thing is that we need to show that we're better than them. The thing is that Trump likes to play mind games. So if you're asking me what's actually going on in these Epstein files, it's something so catastrophic. That's the reason why Trump said we shouldn't release them. There's going to be a catastrophe when we release them. You're going to see the economy crash. You're going to see the American people up in arms. I'm not necessarily saying they're going to get violent, but I'm going to say there's going to be unrest. Whether that's just us talking or if it gets violent. This is something that's going to happen. But the thing is that we don't want to have that tough conversation. The thing is that we have had over a decade to do this. And we didn't. Why is that? We didn't do it because this is going to decimate the American people. But I think the American people are ready now. The American people are ready to hear what has been going on for the last 20, 30, 40 years. It's time. We're going to go ahead and we're going to see so many fucking names on there that you're not going to believe. The thing is that we like to say that Hollywood's ran by pedophiles and everything. And quite frankly, we're right. It is ran by pedophiles. It's ran by pedophiles. It's ran by Jews. If you're going to listen to Nick Fuentes about it. But the thing is that we got to be ready to have these hard conversations. These hard conversations are what makes us great. These hard conversations are what exactly we need to have right now. But no one wants to have these conversations. The thing is that if Charlie was still here, he'd be having them. But now we refuse to have these conversations. These conversations are what's going to propel us forward into everything. Now, the Epstein Files need to be released. No question about it. We got to go ahead and see what's going to happen to these people. What happened to these people? But when people go ahead and go, it's all redacted. Well, of course it is. There's court cases out there still. If we're going to be releasing files, it's got to have redacted information. It's got to go ahead and protect these people. Because, quite frankly, these people are worth protecting. But if we're going to go ahead and say, like, we shouldn't be protecting these people, what's the fucking point? What's the point of us releasing them? We don't want these people to go ahead and have their names out there for the trauma. For someone that has experienced abuse, having your name out there in the public domain, knowing that you went through that abuse is what punishes everyone. But this is something that we got to understand what's going on. And quite frankly, we say we don't need to, but we do. And I can't fucking believe it. I can't believe why people go ahead and say that we can't do this. We got to take a side. Quite frankly, I'm happy that Trump has come back to see the light and say that we're releasing the Epstein list. I think it was probably a 3D chess move to get the left on board. But the thing is that necessarily they didn't need to get on board. The American populace was already on board. The American populace already wanted to know this information. So why is it that our ruling class refuses us to see it? The simplicity of the fact of the matter is, well, they want us to still be controlled. If they don't release any files, they are going to make sure that we stay controlled out of every necessity that they have. The left and the right want us to be controlled. They don't want us to be here anymore. And quite frankly, as soon as we all realize that the government's trying to control all of us, the better off we'll be. And quite frankly, that's how it needs to be. We need to call out the fucking government when they're doing wrong. It doesn't matter what side they're on. I 100% believe that. If we're not calling out these motherfuckers over every stupid little thing that they fucking do, they won. We do not want the government to win, whether we agree with the person in power or not. There's going to be something that we disagree with people, and we need to go ahead and come together and say, hey, this is a fucking problem. This is how we're going to deal with it. But do we actually want to deal with this shit? I don't know. It seems like the American people are finally getting up there and saying that they want to. But the American people are a people of short-term memory. We refuse to remember what's going on long-term. We refuse to look at what's going on. Correct. He was an FBI informant. That is correct. Trump was an FBI informant. We already know that, and the left is trying to go ahead and say that Trump was even more involved. The thing is that if Trump should want this stuff released, especially since he was an FBI informant. If he goes ahead and goes like, yeah, we're releasing, he should have, from the get-go, as soon as he was fucking elected, he should have released this shit. My thing is that I just necessarily don't think he had the votes to get this shit passed. And that's why it was a 3D fucking chess move by Donald John Trump. Everyone else was playing checkers while Trump was playing chess. Now, I am going to say that his handling in this situation has hurt him. It has. I'd be stupid to say that it didn't. This 100% hurt him, and it definitely hurt us on these off elections. That's just what happens here. But if this is going to go ahead and have short-term loss for a long-term gain, then fine. Quite frankly, he should have changed his tune before the elections, not after. Even though they were off-year elections, they don't necessarily mean anything to the conservatives. Guarantee if he released these files before the elections happened, the turnout might have been slightly different. Now, New York still would have gone to the fucking communist, but the turnout would have been slightly different. The thing is that we need to realize that there is madness, this imbrilliancy to what Trump does. That's just how he is. The madness and brilliancy of the Trump administration comes in waves. He likes to go ahead. He likes to get the attention off of him for a bit until he goes ahead and fucks with people even more. This was just a major fuck you to everyone with what Trump was doing. I want to say this, though. The files will be released soon. The files are going to be released before the end of this year. There's going to be a shit ton of redactions. And if people are going ahead and crying over about the redactions of names of people that were children, fuck you. But if you're going ahead and you're crying about the redactions of people that, quite frankly, should go ahead and get thrown into prison, you have every right to. But I 100% believe that these files are going to go ahead, they're going to get released, and they're going to decimate the American people. There are people that we looked up to for years, decades, that are on this list. We have every right to know who these people are. But we got to be ready for the outcome. We got to be ready to see what's going on here. Quite frankly, I don't know if we're ready. but we will be. We're going to go ahead. We're going to make sure that this doesn't happen ever fucking again. As soon as we see this shit drum up again, we need to stop this shit. Too many people have been hurt. Too many children have been hurt. We need to stop this shit before it starts. We need to stop this shit as soon as we figure it out. It's fucking insanity with the shit that happened to Diddy, even with the Epstein, that we allowed it to happen. We knew that was happening on for decades, and yet they didn't do it. But the insanity's clear. We gotta be ready. We got to take up arms. We got to stop these people. That's the only way we win. We go ahead and we protect the kids like we've always said we would. That's what we're going to do. That is the way we're going to win. All right. Well, I'm a little bit under the weather, as you guys can tell. So we're going to be signing off here. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the show, 10 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Discord, or if you're on the Conservative Patriots of TikTok, that we will be live streaming there as well. We're going to try to get the Instagram shit going up again, so I don't have to fucking use my phone. But we'll see. All right. Thank you all so much for listening.